Alright, so now it's time for some layers. And we're going to create a normal name for this. Kaiju base sounds pretty good. And we're going to hit the new layer button. Call it head shape 1. Just keep ourselves organized here. And we're just going to create just an idea for a head shape. So we're just going to make it a little bit wider. And see how that goes. Remember, whatever level you record this on, whenever you start, editing the shape, that's going to be the only level you can edit on. And cool thing about the layers is that you can use this erase tool and erase out of the layer if you didn't want these parts of the body to be affected by the changes you just made. So I don't have to even worry about how sloppy I am with the big movements and changes. I can just use the erase tool to erase it out. So I'm always doing that with my layers. Alright, let's create another one. Head shape 2. And we'll try something else a little different. So we'll pull up and back and see if we can get something a little different. And that's the whole idea, exploration here, is not to get stuck in this one particular head shape that we started out with. Just let's try to get a little crazy with it. Okay, it's not really that crazy, but just start pulling on some proportions and see what kind of results we can get. And in a minute, we'll combine the powers of these layers together with different percentages, and it's going to give us a different kind of look. It gives us a good feel for some other ideas. And I'm just kind of exaggerating the profile of his face. Alright. So we got both layers. You can just toggle them on and off. You can mess with the slider down here for the power and turn them both on and see them combine together. Just like regular morph or blend shapes. This is the same effect, but we're using it for design purposes. So I'm going to kind of play around with the idea of those two layers together. See what I can get. Oh, and now we're going to add the new group. We're going to call it head shapes so we can keep ourselves even more organized. And we'll keep these in a certain order. You can drag them around. I wish I had subgroups, but maybe in the future it will. Groups within groups, unless I'm doing it wrong. So we're going to create some body shapes now. And the body could use some work on this. It's a little, I don't know, he's a little obese looking for a kaiju, which is probably normal, but I'm looking for something a little bit different. So I'm just going to try some different things. The first thing I did was just to pull down those shoulders. That was more of a corrective shape. And we'll add another body shape here. Just start messing around with just different looks in the silhouette. Just kind of figure out what kind of weight he has. So he can be kind of top heavy, or you can have like a pear shape to him, or I mean, it really is just, that's part of the reason I'm exploring these with the layers, is nothing's committed right now. Nothing's destructive. I can just turn this layer completely off and none of this edit even happened. So if I hate it later on, or if I come to my next session of sculpting, I can see that I've I don't like what I've done. I can just turn off that layer. Yeah, I meant to create another layer there. These can be fin shapes. I'm going to mess with the fins a little bit in the back and see what I can do with that. So I'll try something a little bit more organic back there. And then I'll erase out the over stroke that I made with the erase tool. And something interesting, the little flare. Alright, let's try another one. Call it fin shape 2. And this time I'm going to mess with the profile shape. Make this a little bit more curved in an upward kind of direction. Kind of more, demon-like, I guess, for lack of a better description. And I will do the same thing. We'll just combine forces to make Super Kaiju. You can even go past 100. You can put it, I put it at 200 just to see the effect. It's kind of interesting. Probably not exactly what I'm looking for. It's a little extreme, so I'll dial it down a bit. And then I just continue to play with the amounts until I get what I want. Sometimes I end up going right back just to 100% of everything, and that's what I want. Sometimes I don't like any of it, and I delete it and move on. So that's just the idea here, is to keep myself honest as the designer part of this kind of project, as opposed to just a sculptor. The designer aspect is, it needs to read as a successful and visually pleasing sort of piece. Lots of back and forth combinations, messing around, spinning the model around, seeing how it looks in different angles. Until you get something that just kind of feels right. And then I'll put the flat lighting on, which is just a right click in the viewport background. And then I can also do the same thing. That way I can see how it reads without all that distraction of the shaders and lighting. Another cool way of exploring this, which is something I usually do in every character I create, especially just original off the cuff kind of stuff. So there you go, just a cool way of using layers and groups, and especially with the new groups, keeps you organized and not pulling your hair out as much.